It's a lot of weird light. I need to give me a tissue from right in there, love, before you go. I think I have to clean the screen. There we go. Dirty, dirty. Okay, so that light that's back there, I have a new light, y'all. So my new light, that's to illuminate the black. Let me take a look at this. Hey, can I get a small bottle of water, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey. You're my lighting person now. This is your new. Might be your new girl. So I need to make sure that I got light. Ooh, that kind of looks good. See, I just don't want shadows. I don't want all these shadows. And being that, where is this light here? There's another one like this in the house, correct?
Look, maybe look, yes, but
all
it's
right.
like that. Look, I know where we might.
No. No. I know. I need this right here. You see what you want is you want it right on your face.
Oh.
Pause. You want the light to be able to on your face, and then I want to be able to take out that background.
Yeah.
That like any of the shadows on my head. You see how my hand has a shadow?
Yes.
Can you see that shadow? Look, I can make a little little doggy up there, shadow. So you want to try to knock out the shadows where there are no shadows, if that makes any sense. So let me double check with. We're waiting for DocDoc the Surgeon to come in. This is a bit of an impromptu show. We're super busy all week long, but I am here Friday night. I'm here for you. Let's not get it twisted. I got my energy up. I'm feeling good. And I want to let you know that I love you and I appreciate you. Tap the screen twice. Put the thumbs up. That's the only way to get the thumbs up proper. Okay. Is that light changing colors? Yeah. Wow. Look. My new light. Bang. Bang, bang, bang. It's not what I want. I don't want it to change colors. I didn't even know the light was changing colors.
You didn't?
No. This is what I want. Something like that. But you don't want it too bright.
You want me to go in the back and check it out?
No, I think that's cool. You know, it's almost like a huge. I'm gonna change glasses. That has a little. Did you get me the water?
Yes, right here.
Thank you. Now I'm waiting on Doctor the Surgeon to come on board. Come on by, say hi. Bang. Big Elvis the chef, I am here. Forget about it. That was my daughter giving me a little help with the lighting. Okay, thank you. She said, roll the window up. There's bugs coming. She's adorable. 11 years old, almost 6 foot tall. Almost. A smidge away from 6 foot tall. I thought somebody was there. So black outside. I can't even see anything. So I purchased a new light today because the other one was giving me a hard time. I'm not sure how much I paid for this light, but not much. And I've got the generic brand. This is like Walmart's version of Kirkland, and they do this with tons of stuff. I don't know if Walmart has this for like bedding or anything like that. I've just seen it mainly in the electronics section, but this is their attempt at Costco's Kirkland, or is that BJ's Kirkland? Comes with so many accessories, remotes, all kind of stuff. I actually at Daniel B's house, the lighting we were using there for the premium black news, that lighting, wound up breaking. The wires are just so cheap, and then I went and got a soldering iron and was going to solder them all back together so that I can get them to work, but that never happened, unfortunately. So what I have today is, let me take a look. Ooh, this only has 16%. This is my other phone that I use for the show. Forgive me for not looking directly at you. You good people over there in the internet world. A little bit. So I have this light here to my left, trying to eliminate the shadows here, and then I have that just illuminating to the back. See that? So that I can do this here. And now we're waiting on DocDoc the Surgeon. Let me double check. I sent the text. I didn't want to retext. I was feeling like weird to like retext the guy. I was like, and I didn't do it. I just said he got the text. He knows. So I was just listening to the Star Report, and Star was talking about Damon Dash, and Damon Dash had some sort of like wardrobe malfunction, so to speak. His dentures popped out of his mouth, and that's the whole topic of the day. And what's interesting is that the argument could be made that people will make fun of Dame Dash or kick him while he's down, so to speak. But yet, Star says he wants to do business with him still. I thought that was hilarious because Dame Dash now has the Dame Dash now has the argument that um, people still want to work with me. They talk about me, but they still want to f with me. I can see Dame Dash just like just loving Star saying what he said because Star said, um, what did he say? He said he's fooled right now. Anybody could get it on this microphone. So Dame Dash is fooled right now. Let's see if we can find Dame Dash's wardrobe malfunction. I'm sure. I know Twitter has it, but I don't have Twitter on these phones. So I will go to World Star Hip Hop and see if they have the Dame Dash wardrobe malfunction, and of course they do. Dame Dash addresses. Okay, what's this? Win a hoodie. No, thank you. I don't want to win a hoodie. You won't believe how she made 58,000 one night in Miami. I would believe it. Dame Dash addresses social media's outrage about his grill falling out live. Shows off his missing dental implants. So let's go back a little bit longer and see if we can actually. This is him addressing it. Dame Dash confirmed he owes 8 million in taxes while still holding his ground that 1 million isn't any money. That was the Dame Dash having that issue with 50 cents when 50 cents was on $1 million worth of game. I'm over here trying to listen to $1 million worth of game, and every 5 seconds they're taking out the profanity, and like it was so difficult to listen to all this missing this air. Like just kept pressing that button on 50. It was like, and then it was like you can hear the people in the background. picking up plates, putting plates down, moving chairs around, talking. It was absolutely horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. They should have went to the car and did that damn interview. Okay, well, we got Dame Dash addressing it. Let's see what Dame Dash is talking about here. There might be a commercial involved, you know. I don't have the World Star app. I used to be on the World Star app heavy, but okay. Thank you for the troll, I guess. And let's see what Dame Dash is talking about. Of
Growing up in
course.
Texas is all about hair. As I got
We'll wait. I'll press the skip button. Here we go.
To address the tea. First of all, and we sorry about that. First of all, since it's not dentures, these are my grills, right? And what happened was, you know, I have to go get implants put in. So I have implants. And 20 years ago, and every 20 years you got to switch them out. So I have to do a surgery, pause, oral, and the fucked up shit is once they do it, and yes, I'm gonna show you. Hey, so that's what happened to Prince. But you know, I thought it was hilarious. I ain't trying to edit it. I think it's good for jokes and shit. But yeah, they're not dentures, and I think it's hilarious. Introducing Slick Freeze
Okay.
Trimmer, TV without limits.
What up, Doc?
What's going on? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm talking to you now. So you know the night has gotten better. You
All
know,
right.
I was just showing a clip from Dame Dash. Dame Dash was talking about his wardrobe malfunction. His teeth fell out of his mouth while he was on live. You can see it on it's all over X, formerly known as Twitter. But I went to Hip Hop World Star and I couldn't. They just had his. One would argue his star on the Star Report earlier today referred to it as niggasplaining. That he was on live niggasplaining his teeth falling out of his mouth. And he
Yes.
basically said something to the fact that every 20 years you have to get them redone, and this was just some sort of temporary situation, and you know, he's responsible and going to get it done.
So he got dentures or something?
Yeah, it was like, well, he claims it wasn't a denture, that it was a grill, a diamond out grill, and he had like one fang tooth underneath it when he popped it out. So I don't
Did you
know.
see that? You saw the original clip or no? You never saw it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I can probably find it. I didn't. If I check YouTube, maybe I'll find it. You want to take a
Yeah.
look? So it's good to see you, brother.
No. How you doing? How you feeling?
Yo, dude. I got this 13-year-old son that is having me stressed. 13-year-old
Really?
boy. Yo, it's so crazy. Remember, I text you and didn't get a chance to
Right.
have the conversation. The
Right.
doc and I were supposed to talk 3 days ago, and then 2 days ago, and then today pops up. I'm like, sorry, I missed. Yo,
Mhm.
I just been dealing with this parenting thing. Is no joke. This is no
Mm.
joke. And let me also say this to you: you don't, I, you don't have to be there every day to be a good parent. And I'm there every single day. And I get praised for it. Like you have praised me for it. Many of my other friends and associates and colleagues, they've praised me for how much time I spend with my kids and how I'm really, really into them and always there. But let me tell you, it's not necessary. These children have so many outside influences that they will undermine everything all the work you put into them for a feeling.
No, it's a fact. But it's a sad fact.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a sad fact. But I know some of the stuff that you did. Some of the things you put in play, like homeschooling and stuff like that. It starts at least with that. But we're like in a cage, and it's almost like a cage that most folks can't see. Our neighbors can't see it. Most of the folks that we associate with can't see it. The person that's walking down the street, we think we're free and open to roam about and do whatever we kind of want to do. But all the while, you're actually being bombarded with stuff. And the biggest folks, or the populace that's at most at stake, is our children. And even in the efforts to homeschool and things like that, the their association or their exposure to other kids who are influenced by the nonsense is going to lean on them because that's their peer group. And they're going to have a need to they could be in their own little bubble. But um, the influence that we have as parents, you know, uh, be, gets weaker and weaker as it goes down the stream. So now, to have the ultimate experience, you and wife have to be on the same page. That's the first part. So if you have a
We
broken
are. We
home,
are.
you have you have half of the issue going on. So like for other folks, who and it's you don't even have to have a bad relationship with the other parent. It's just the fact that if you're not really conducted it simultaneously doing it as a tag team thing, you're going to start to lose some traction on the kids. Um, so then that goes along with the homeschooling, but just access to the social media, access to folks outside. It's almost like you'd have to really keep your child in a bubble if you want to protect them from the nonsense. And it's a fine line because you have to allow the street smarts to come in at the same time protecting them from the nonsense and having them be able to differentiate the two. Meanwhile, you have all the little hormones raging, all the stuff going on. So it's a whole, now is a very difficult time for, to be going through your teens. It's really difficult to really find your way and not to be a complete sheep. It's hard. And the thing now is for you to be a real self-standing person and understanding self and stuff like that, you will be on a mountain by yourself, you know? So that's kind of like it's tough and it's rough. Um, but then they have to, what do we need? What's the best option? Do you, because you could live a great blissful life of ignorance, you know, and I was talking about this earlier. You know, how many people feel that they're living the life that they feel like they're living their life what it was meant to be. You know, I'm wondering if Patrick is like, is he living his life the way he wants to live it? Is he all the things that he planned out? Is that the way it was supposed to be? Did he get it from somewhere? Is he satisfied?
Patrick. Who's Patrick?
Patrick Steffens, you know?
Oh, Patrick Steffens. What's up, fellas? What's up, Patrick?
Yeah. So
Sensitive Matt that loves cats. Okay, and we got Trio
Tio,
Bruclio, and then we
we
got
got Kenya,
Kendall
Kendall.
Navstar. I work with a guy that looks exactly like you. Send a picture to Big Elvis the Chef at gmail.com. Big Elvis the Chef, gmail.com. I want to see that picture. I am looking for my doppelgangers. There's tons of us. Yo, mama. Oh, that was that person trolling when he walked in the door. All right.
Uh,
So,
yeah, so I'm wondering, like, because I work with a lot of folks who have addiction, drug addiction, and things like that, and we get into some deep conversations. And I hold this group that we have, on a weekly basis, and we have all these folks that come in, and they're really expressive, and the idea is, what are they really looking forward to? And a lot of us, and this is aside from folks, whether or not you have a drug issue or not, you know, kind of like just cope, just kind of like roaming through life, and you're just roaming with no real purpose. And the idea is, if you found a great job, and this is the thing, this is the scary part. Most folks, if they had a job and they could pay their bills and go on vacation once or twice a year, and they would think that's it. The question is that really it? Have we been convinced that that is what life's supposed to be? And at the end, are we really satisfied with that?
Right. Are we
I
living
don't
to
know.
our fullest potential?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
I was reading something the other day where they were saying how um, America was built to get us out of having land, where we had a neighbor that was, a mile away, and had another neighbor, no neighbors near us, and they was like, a person with his own land is always gonna have a gun, and that person with his own land is always gonna wanna read the fine print on everything. So if we can compartmentalize everybody and put them in these like towns and cities, we can um, we can control them more.
mhm.
It's like, why did I say that? I don't know. I don't know why I
But I
just said
remember
that.
what when you were saying that. What it made me think about is some that you shared with me, because you had like firsthand knowledge of it, and I wonder if the chat had any really experience with that. You did a couple of trips across the country. You took the wife, took the kids, and stuff like that. And one of the
Right,
things that like stood out from some of the stories is the fact that how open the land is and how much space is available, and we're
right,
all like shuffled in these little small units of towns like New York City and San Francisco and Florida and Texas. So it's like
right,
we're being shuffled in these little cities, but meanwhile we have so much land that if we spread apart, and there's no reason, especially now, that we need to be confined to any singular area, especially the way that we're moving with the way we're conducting business now and stuff like that. If now more than anywhere is when we should be spread apart. You know, um, I was saying this to you the other day. Um, the idea about how we are in New York City and some of the populated cities and towns, we're not meant to be living in such a congested space.
hmm,
We're just way too congested. I shouldn't have in a situation where I have multiple neighbors where I don't even know their name and they don't know my name, and we are completely okay with that. That's not really normal.
it's
That's
so sad.
no,
It's so
it's not part
sad.
of your it's not part of human psyche. It's a real problem that we have normalized now. And the thing is, we have all these differences, as all these differences are being pushed amongst us, the gender issue, the race issue, all these different fake stuff that's being pushed upon us to, deviate and to separate us. But at the end of the day, if I have an issue that I don't believe in, there's enough space for you to believe whatever you want to believe, and we don't have to interact with each other. The fact that we're being forced to be tolerant of things that we don't want to be tolerant of, that's the problem. And if we get to a space where there's so much differences, you know that mean our society is too big.
Right,
Our society
exactly.
is too big, you know um and we need to
And
start
can
thinking
you
about
elaborate?
setting.
Can you get into the society being too big, and can you break that down for me a little bit?
Well, so the society being too big comes down to the fact that, do your individual voice have any standing? When you're at home, you know everybody in the house kind of like have a say, and at least their gripe will be heard. We're in a situation now where the average person don't feel like he could scream loud enough that anybody that can make a change or to derive some change will ever come. You feel kind of like helpless in the mat, and that it's almost like the society is so big that your individual numbers are being made and things like that, things that you are completely against. And then you don't know somebody else who supports it. But yet you're still forced to kind of like deal with these orders that have been made or these laws that have been passed. Meanwhile, you and everybody around you supposedly have voted, if that counts for something, for somebody who's supposed to represent your views. And if that consistently does not occur, your society is way too big. Is there somebody that you can actually hold accountable, to your folks? And there's not. So we had this whole thing, a couple of years ago. A lot of people was upset with Cuomo, I guess, for the way he handled it. But at the end of the day, him stepping down had nothing to do with the people. And the thing is, we get these information as if the people did it, but the people don't really have a hand in it. So we've passed.
You're saying the people doesn't have a hand in him stepping down.
Right, right.
He stepped down what? Because of the pressures to step down? Isn't that the
Well,
people?
I want to. Well, what I want
Yeah.
to say is him stepping down didn't have to do with the populace of New York State. Other forces forced him to step down, or other forces felt like he needed to step down for whatever other plan that's going on. It was better to go that route than anything else. But all throughout the time of all the objections of all the stuff that all the populists did not want him to do, they all went along anyway. And he's supposed
Right.
to represent the voice of the people that's saying all this stuff. So we've gone to a point where we're okay with it being backwards. Um, and I'm just wondering, as you talk to people individually, they say this and they express this and they talk about it. On an individual note, that's what you see. But collectively, you know, we end up talking about football or, something else, or we end up talking about, the MTV awards or whatever. But in private conversation and serious conversation, everybody kind of like share these things, you know. And we have all these, you know, um, things that are going on around the country that's not really talked about. Have you heard about the gangs? You know,
I,
um,
you talking about the Venezuelan gangs taking over project apartments all around the United States of America, Chicago
yeah,
mainly? Yes,
yeah.
I've heard about that.
And the hero, and this is the misdirection that I'm afraid about, because here we go. We have a place where we can run covert ops in other areas of the world, finding people in caves, in bunkers and all this other stuff. We have all this technology to do all of that. Several years ago, we have folks coming from other countries who came in here under some amnesty and all this other stuff. You know,
Right.
the whole time we're saying these people are dangerous and all these other things. They're young and they're male and all these things that's going on. Okay, fine. And then somehow all of them get lost in the country. We don't know where nobody's at. And now that whole jabber died down for a year or two. And now all of a sudden it's kind of like resurging again as gangs and so on and so forth. And now
Right.
the idea is, you know, it's almost like appeal to the regular American street gang, as if they're supposed to try to confront these other folks, like
Oh,
a
right.
battle within
Like a
within.
war, like a
Right,
war
exactly.
between America and these migrant gangs,
Right. But here was
or
the thing.
black
Right.
gangs against the migrants.
And I think it's a play, because the thing is, this is almost like a test. where we're being tested, and we have an enemy that wants to see how could they interact with this force that, if that force was organized, they cannot do nothing with. There's too much guns, too much people in the US of A for any group to really put pressure on if that group is of one accord. So they do these tests, they do these things with the looting and the rioting and all these other things, where they had actual trucks of folks dropping them off, loot over here, loot over there. And the idea was to see how much of the populace is going to join. It's intel. Let's see how these people are going to react, what they're going to do, who's going to stay home, who's going to come out. And I'm glad that nobody really came out. And I'm hoping that folks can realize the truth and the nonsense. So whereas the enemy may think like, hey, listen, only 100 people came out, so okay, so this area is good. But meanwhile, there's 10,000 people that's just watching this, and if it really went down, 10,000 people would come out. But so
Or
it's
would
like
they?
intel.
Or would they?
Well, I'm hoping that they would, and then and this is the idea. They're playing a long game and a strategic game to see what do we need to prepare for. How many people we need over here to control this area. These people are not going to do nothing, so we need just 10 guys over there with some guns. They're gonna sit down. So now these rambunctious street gangs and stuff like that, we know they got weapons. Let's see if we could engage them to see if they really, how would they react to this. So they're almost being given a green light to interact with these people.
Right.
So and this is where we at, in a space where we have so much intel, so much all of this, and we're behaving with a government that's like, well, we need the street gangs. Hopefully they could save us. I mean, is that what do we really think that's what they're looking for? Are they trying to see
Yo,
what do
I, where are you getting this from? Where are you getting this? Is it something you just put together in your mind, or is this like some sort of like you're hearing people say that they're looking to be saved by the gangs, the
no?
American gang?
So this is some news outlets and some articles that's talking about this. Whereas, so how they put the stuff in words, to come across a different way. So these street gangs are holding neighborhoods hostage and stuff like that. But the gangs are pushing back. So wording like that. The gangs are pushing back, and the gangs are not having it. So the gangs are protecting their own. So all of a sudden, the young guy who's there, like, oh yeah, I'm with it. So it's propaganda at its best form. They're getting gaslit and they're putting a battery in their back. But it's all to show, to expose, to say, okay, let's see what we're dealing with. How many guns is really out there? How many people would really act? So
Hey,
you know,
Doc,
yeah.
can I tell you? Hey, T Rilla, what's going on? How are you? Um, and Ryan, I know you were trolling over there, but Ryan Dees. Um,
Mhm.
See, I always read the chat and then I forget my thought. I hate that. But we have to be more engaging with the chat. Um, just continue. I'll remember in a second. I'll remember
no,
in a second.
so no, so we've come so we've it's rough, and in these
Oh, I remember. I remember.
mm,
The reason why when you were speaking, I was smiling was because I have invested in a company that builds prisons. And I know that this company, and I've been telling everyone that I know for the last 2, 3 years, that this company was given a huge federal grant to build 50 new prisons in America. And I'm like, it's going to hit the fan the next 10 years. And we need to get in with this company, because the company at the time when I got in, the company was like $16 or no, The company was like $7 or $4. I might have got in at $4. The company's probably, I haven't looked in a while, but I'm sure I'm sure it's over 15, and it'll be $100 in the next 10 years. So my thing is, it might be $3,000 in the next 10 years. I don't know, but this company, it's called GEO, and I'm not a tax. I'm not a professional. This is not advice. This is not telling you to go run and get this stock. But let me tell you, um, this is all part of a huge plan. We're talking about they're going to, like, people are mad about the migrants and they're building houses for the migrants. I'm like, those are called projects. They're building projects for these people. These are not going to be luxury homes. I don't care that they got 15,000 on a credit card today. It reminds me of here in New York City. They have these projects in the Bronx called the projects, right? And the Eden Wall projects in the Bronx, right now, you go to Eden Wall project in the Bronx, half of them are luxury high-rise apartments. They redid the elevators, they redid the fronts, they redid the hallways. All the apartments got redone, and they're charging grand to live there. But these project apartments, what happened was
Right.
in the 1960s when they built these project apartments were luxury apartments when they first was built. And this is the whole entire city of New York. These buildings, not luxury, but these buildings had elevators. These buildings had all these garbage chutes. It was so fly, and everyone lived there: white people, black people, Puerto Rican people, Jamaican people. Because this is when the Jamaicans disappeared. Where you go?
Who?
I can't see you. Can you?
No,
Hello?
I see you. You can't see me?
You're completely black.
Really?
Well, let me finish talking. It'll probably pop right up. Well, what happened was they changed the projects very shortly after the projects were built, and it was real fly. And everybody that moved into the projects had jobs. Now all I can see is me. All of me. All 340,000. Let me see if the doc is coming back in. Okay. Boom. There you go.
Okay. Not sure what that was about.
All right. Is your phone underneath a lampshade? Yeah. Shades. Perfect. If you can get it to. So the projects were like a beautiful thing in New York City. It was eclectic. Everybody lived there: white people, Chinese people, black people, Jamaican people. This is when Jamaicans first started coming into the 60s like that. Sure, of course, they were here before that, but I'm talking about just a large amount of them. And then they switched it. People started to get pissed off. And then they started to switch it, and people started to move out of the projects and get out of there and say, oh, the suburbs is where we want to be. So they were moving out to suburbs, and the people that stood were basically the ones that were on welfare. They were checking in their apartments, making sure daddy wasn't home, and they just switched it. So all this stuff was happening with the migrants. It's already been done. They're gonna switch it. Don't everybody all mad? Oh, they got $5,000 on a credit card. They all mad, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is temporary. I'm gonna switch it because there's no way that they got that many prisons getting built. 50 prisons in our country is being built, and they're gonna fill these prisons up. This is private prisons. So In a minute, all this housing they giving these people, all this money they giving will stop. And all their children are going to just be, they're not going to be up to par as far as reading, writing, and arithmetic. They're not going to be up to, and they're going to be these gang men. It's gonna help generate the economy. By these guys coming in here, this drama is going to help America. It's going to help it because in America you have to have a bottom class. You have to have a neighborhood that you never want to walk in because it's just not for you. There has to be a person has to be able to drive a Ferrari that they know. The Ferrari owner knows that he costs him $40,000, $30,000 a year just to drive this car, and he's only putting 2,500 miles a year in the car, if that. But he needs to know that he's separate from everyone else. He got the 300,000 for a car that never's going to work. It's going to work half the time. It's going to be in the shop most of the time.
Right.
So this is capitalism. So when I see these gangs acting up and acting crazy, all it just tells me is that any little bit of money I get, I need to be dropping on GEO for the next 5 years. Heavy. I need to have 25,000 shares of this stock. Period. It's just like this is lineage. This is how you're able to pass money. I'm not worried. I'm not scared. I'm not worried about no migrant. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna affect me. I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about the violence because, one thing we know about projects and all these places, you just go 2, 3 blocks away, that doesn't even exist. It's
No,
like
and that's
it doesn't even exist. That stress, you don't even have to ever worry about that stress.
that's the that's the that's the great thing. And we'd be in a whole different world if we were in tuned enough to view it that way because nothing that's going on could really affect us unless we react to it. The idea is that, so much folks have already bought into the nonsense. So much folks have already been, you know, um, have set their their intentions on feeling some type of way, and they're stroking people's, fears, concerns, anger on all different fronts and levels. So you have, you know, a lot of folks, in the Americas who's feeling some type of way. They've been in this country for years after years, and they can't get anything. And then, you have folks that's completely coming off from wherever, and then all the stuff is just being handed to them.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're still on a undersurface, still funding all this stuff through taxes and stuff like that. Although that's how they may feel, but that's not what's really happening. But the sentiment and the feeling still goes along with that. And so we have these folks that are supercharged, super upset, who the jail's for, and what's the real division? Who's really fighting? It
Exactly.
is, you know,
Exactly. Who's really like Steve Ladner just said? I'm not sure how things work in New York, but in my opinion, we are moving. You are very misinformed to what's heading your way, and
okay, what do you mean by
I know this. I was in New York City when crack was popping, where there was 25 murders a day in New York City. 20, no, was it 12 or 25? It was a lot of murders in the
that?
90s in New York City. And then there was blocks that you can go to where that didn't even exist. Didn't even exist. Many blocks. All that drama and all that crack was stuck in a few neighborhoods. Or maybe all of the Bronx. But but that's not even true. Even some of the Bronx area up there by 233rd, they got that whole Irish community over there. There was no crack over there. There was no crack in those West Indian areas over there on 225th. There was none of that. Even on Fordham Road, where it was really even crazy, they got that gated community right over there. That huge gated community in Fordham Road. They weren't affected by that. Yes, it existed, and yes, they were like people trying to uh, jump your car to wipe the squeegee people trying to wipe your windows and all that. But I'm here to tell you, man, what's coming, Steve Ladner, is a new way to make money. That's what's coming. A new way to, it's going to promote fear, and fear is going to make money. This is a capitalistic country we live in. America's a business. America is a business. This is a big, big business. This is a big machine. And I just don't think, I just, like, I'm not worried about the race war. I'm not worried about none of that stuff. It's all, to me, just fear, smoke and mirrors. I'm not saying things are not going to happen, but I'm not worried, not even a little bit, about a race war. Not even a little bit. I mean, and I'm not worrying about a civil war, because in order to have a civil war, who are we having a civil war with? What, Texas is going to separate itself from America? Florida is going to separate itself from America? Who's separating themselves from America having a civil war? Who? That can do it is Texas, Florida. Who else can do a civil? Who else can have a civil war? Who else got their own resources where they don't need anybody? There's rumors of Texas about to start a new stock market because they're forcing all these companies to hire the Alphabet City people and to be more inclusive and to have all these minorities moving into forcing them to have it in their company for the stock and all this stuff. They say, you know what, we can start our own stock market. We got our own water reserves. We have our own oil reserves. We have a huge ass military and generals that are ready to say whatever. That's all you need. You need some generals that are going to be like, I'm not having it. But it's like civil war and race wars. I just think it's fear mongering. I think it's just another way to get us, like to me, there's a war going on between good and evil. Okay? There's not just a war of just evil. There's a war that's good fighting evil. They ain't just evil, just evil all around me. Oh, they taking over. No. There's a war going on. Let's not play that game. There's people behind the scenes that are about it. Okay, everybody's like, oh, the government is on. The Congress is running the government, and the CIA and the FBI are running America. Okay, what's that gonna do to your pocket? What are they gonna take more taxes from you? Okay, so what? Now what? What are they gonna do? I'm gonna have guys. Military running the streets. All right. Well, I'm gonna be in my Bentley with a big pass that say "Doctor" on it, and I'm gonna keep pushing. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta worry, Doc. When all that thing hits the fan, you're gonna have the big MD pass. You're gonna be rising above all that crap. I mean, when we had the pandemic here in New York, I was one of the only cars on the road. I have 50 hours of me up and down this city, going through checkpoints, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's just fear. Fear is a huge commodity. Fear is like, I'm not afraid of none of that. None of that. What's gonna happen next? The alien invasion is coming too. What about that? For the one world government. What about the Agenda 30? All that stuff. So what? I'm gonna make it. You're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. That's a reality. And then, like I told my boy Ray, Ray's always freaking out and panicking. We have a war going on. The race war is gonna happen. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's all scared. You're not scared? I said, no, I'm not scared, man. First of all, I don't want to live forever. I don't want to live forever. I didn't take the shot. I didn't take the jab. I'm not scared to death, scared to look. I caught COVID, and you came by. You gave me a whole list of things to take. I took them, and I was walking in a day or two. I had like 7 days of hell, whatever that was, 10 days of hell, but I made through it. It is what it is. What we gonna do? I'm not afraid. whatever's gonna happen. If it's alien invasion, civil war, race war, I'm the school shooting, Venezuelan gang members, all that is gonna fill our prisons. They ain't filling those prisons with no political prisoners. That ain't what's gonna happen. That ain't gonna be for the revolutionaries. They're not filling prisons for revolutionaries. They're filling these prisons for these dumbass niggas, spicks, and poor white trash that think they're gonna do something. Or some gang, like that gang. I'm talking more gang than, like issues. I don't see the U.S. government. Oh, we're gonna just get imprison them the way they did September 6th. They were going to all the social media just to get them locked up. They locked up hundreds of people. Are in jail doing 7 years, 10. That if that don't show you that people ain't trying to really move like that, then telling me that 500-600 people are doing 7 to 10 years and for walking into a building. What? What? And y'all didn't start nothing. Not one pipe bomb went off in the courtroom. Never, not one time.
And they were getting escorted around the around the building. It's crazy.
Yeah, they were like they were opening the doors. Oh, hold on, open the door. And then I didn't see not one painting get ripped up. I ain't seen none of those paintings. Those paintings from 17. Da 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 da. I ain't seen nobody take a butcher knife to none of that stuff. Stop it. And all these people are in jail, in prison, doing 10 years, 15 years, 20 years for walking into a building. You telling me in America I can't protest? I can't redress my government? What? I gotta do that within the guidelines of the building's days is open. I'm redressing my government at midnight. What y'all talking about? We're gonna knock the doors down. But no, you can't do that. And then it's a joke. It's a big joke. Let me just say this. I'm on a rant. I'm going off. There ain't a lot of people, man, like they say. There ain't a lot of people. It's just what they're controlling right now. If people are people food for some sort of alien race, and they slowly dwindling there, acting like there's so many, I say yes. I say yes to some degree, but I ain't worried. They look at me. They ain't get. I'm 50. What do they want with me? I don't have what it takes to put asses in those seats. Anyway, I digress. Don't be scared. There ain't nothing to be scared about.
You know what? I'm. I don't know if it's if fear is the word. I think it's concern about humanity and where we're heading and what we're thinking. So it's not necessarily us specifically, but just if we grab 100 folks, you know, what do they surmise their life up to be? What do they think? What have they been programmed, to believe? And that thing that they've been programmed by, is it their own choosing? Or is it a concerted effort? So, what's going to happen is going to happen. And I think one of the main things was for us to safeguard ourselves, our ability to safeguard our children and stuff like that, um, from being able to think the right way, um, and not to buy into propaganda, not to buy into fear and all those type of things, not to allow rhetoric, to break up the families, you know, um, for our ladies not to be gaslit into, trying to push an agenda. Um, and I've kind of like always said this, uh, the biggest way to weaken the community is to um, is to, is to break the community up into small little families And now the effort is to break up those smaller families into individual people. You know, so all these things that's come into play, um, it's creating these divisions, and I just feel like we're kind of like falling for it. So the stronghold that we do have is kind of like is kind of like dwindling, uh, and I'm not sure uh, on an individual basis. It seems like everybody gets it, but then when you look at the scope of it all, it's like it's weird because it's like on an individual basis, everybody has some level of awareness to it. Seem a lot of people more than I ever thought would, but yet when we look at the grand totality of everything that's going on, we're moving in a direction that's not really beneficial to humanity in general.
Oh,
So that's the
I hear what you're saying. Definitely, I definitely see that. Like I said, and this goes back to that war I'm talking about. You're possibly in a compartmentalized, incremental way on your own, part of this idea that you don't want to lose our like children. You don't want to lose our humanity and our greatness and our goodness because of so many other influences. You see, I still would argue that you and yours are going to be fine, even if everyone else's are falling apart. You know, you've laid the foundation of these children. So yeah, there's gonna be a whole bunch of kids, you know, that are gonna be falling apart. But your kids are here. Your kids gonna have the blinders to some degree. Yeah, I'm upset with my son, and I think he could have done a lot better with the last couple of months. But I know that I've laid down a very strong foundation for this kid. That even if like let's take this Georgia guy, the shooter who his father is now being um, prosecuted and potentially facing like 100 years in prison for his son killing those four people. And they saying that the father was negligent in the way he gave his son this weapon after his son had verbalized many times that he wants to go and use the weapon in order to do something very horrific with it. So the father could have been a lot more responsible. But it's like, even with that, even with the horror of what happened in that school, there's still the survivors that are so many that are going to be okay. That one kid, he went out there, he did something horrible, and four people lost their lives, and allegedly, and now we got a father being charged with it. Is this that huge push to control our weapons more and more? Of course it is. Of
yes,
course. It's
yes.
foolish for us to not think that they're not looking to do that, but we still have to remember that we still have this massive amount of like here's my problem. January 6th really showed us that people just ain't people are scared. They ain't really ready to fight. They really ready to walk into a building, but they're not ready to go to trial. They're not ready to fight. They're not ready to tie themselves to the courthouse steps with chains. And they're not ready to do none of that. They sheep pretending. So it's only such a small percentage of people that are just understanding that this is all BS, and I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna be all right.
Mm.
Race is not an issue. People pouring into the country is the total different culture than we do. Steve Ladner, yes, but they're gonna position those people into their projects. They're gonna put them in They're gonna put them in their places. They're gonna separate them. They ain't like us. And they're gonna, and let me tell you, Steve Ladner, if you got some money, we can open up one of these old malls that keep closing down, and let's make it one of these Hispanic malls and get some money. You know, put a big F-150 in the front and do a raffle once a month. Make a $500,000 every month. Yo, this is about America's a business. It's gonna promote a lot of fear, but it's a business.
Yeah.
These people, yo, right where I live, they have a huge field, and this is they spent millions upon millions of dollars for this huge ass field with the it has the same turf that the NFL is playing on, the Astro turf, the highest end of Astro turf you're gonna see. There's no wet spots, totally drains. The damn thing is amazing. It's the size of a four. It's a huge block. I mean, it's insanity how much millions of dollars they spend on this thing here. And all I see and shoes and socks, and they come over here and they are purchasing. All those purchases are here in America. All those shirts with their names on their back, all the trophies they're building, all these trophies, all these shoes, all these socks, all the little water bottles, all the igloo coolers, they are they are bringing so much money to the sporting goods world. It's insane. They have a in this and separate from the soccer field. They have a baseball diamond, 4 baseball diamonds, huge. I mean, huge. And these Hispanics, these Dominicans, these they are out there with these baseball bats that look like they cost $200 each. They're out there. They got the gloves. They got the baseball bat. All of them got on a chain. Some jeweler had to sell them that chain. Some sporting goods had to sell them those shoes and those bats. These people are coming in here and they spending mad money. They ain't all going into the projects and trying to take over. And I know every news outlet got the same feed of those guys standing around in the hallway, going into the apartment, kicking the door. All right, what else you got? I need to see 10 of these before I even get an eyebrow go up. They're gonna keep letting in these migrants, and guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna keep filling up the parks, filling up all the housing, paying rent, sporting goods. I don't know. I know food is a little different. They kind of got their own taste, and it's like trucks dedicated for them, so they're not really spending a lot of money. But that just shows that they're gonna be able to push them into communities. They're gonna be able to push
Right.
them. All right, that's your little spot because tribalism. People want to hang out with people that look like them. Unlike you and me, we don't want to look like nobody look like us. We want to be different wherever we go. We the only one that look like us wherever we go. But that's because that's just us. That's the way we are. We these lone wolves. We out here, lone wolves, pockets fat, super intelligent, and productive members of society. So just January 6th just proved we ain't fighting like that, man. You ain't got you telling me you gonna give me 10 years for me coming in there? Oh hell no. Nah. They're giving people 10, 20 years a day of insurrection. The Black Panthers did the same thing with shotguns. Like, come on. What are y'all talking about? The Black Panthers went into the state building with shotguns. These people came in there and they were wearing Birkenstocks.
In 10 years.
Yeah. They were wearing
Half
Birkenstocks.
of them happen to be actors.
I'm sure that at least the first
At least,
100.
yeah, couple, yeah.
Yeah, the ones that were like, "Come on, y'all, we ain't gotta take this shit no more. Come on, y'all, you heard what he said. Let's go." And they went, and they were like, "Uh-oh."
And then we have, the testimony in Congress when they were pushing the FBI director or whoever that was there about details of personnel or asset they had amongst the crowd, you know, and he went mute, and he didn't want to say nothing, you know.
Right.
And so they have evidence that they had, actual federal agents within the group. So I'm saying, from my standpoint, is, and I've kind of like always said that, you know, the intel and the information we could believe us by us. When we get information, I'm of the notion now, no matter what I hear from any of the outlets, it's immediately placed into a possible, a maybe. You
Oh,
know,
right, right,
so and
right.
so so and so got shot, maybe. Because I realize um, how
Yeah, with
far be
blood but no scar.
right. I realize how easily we could be manipulated, especially in these days and times. Um, and we've talked about this numerous times. Before, it was, how do we get everybody's attention? And if you go back far enough, there used to be a bell in Times Square, in the midtown, in the middle of the town, where they'd ring the bell, and the person would come and they'd read the ledger, and the ledger would come from some place, some authority from somewhere, who wanted to inform the people of some stuff.
Right.
And that's what they all like. So that was kind of like the news, to reach people and let them know, because they
Okay.
have to reach you. They got to feed you the nonsense for it to work. you know they have to give it to you. So then, as time continued, they got more effective of doing that using the radio. So everybody was kind of like next to the radio listening to it. They give you some entertainment, so it became like the new fad, but it was an instrument to continue to pass out the information that they wanted you to have, you know that would ultimately to benefit you or to benefit them. That's the question we need to really ask. Are these instruments around us, are they there for our benefit, or they're there to ultimately benefit somebody else, you know, you know, by the way that it causes us to react or interact. So we went from there. So from the radio, went to the television. Same purpose. And it is only then where they could try to make it seem more real, that we get to start to see, okay, we could start to scrutinize some things that don't really jive with what is was kind of like saying. It got to the point where we started to think that what we saw on television was mirroring life,
Right.
but over a couple of decades, what happened was that real life started to imitate what they see on the screen, and it started to tell you how you're supposed to act. It started to tell you what a tough guy was. It started to tell you what a cool guy is. It's tell you this how a guy had behaved. This is what a husband is like. This is what a wife is like. And we started to keep on getting all these feedbacks, you know. And we talk about, how a white girl act, how a black girl act. What should we expect from them? And then folks who haven't experienced any of this, who haven't seen it, who didn't growing up in a household with a mom and a dad and stuff like that. So what they saw on TV, like, well, I guess that's how it's supposed to be. You know, all the goods and all the bads, not recognized. This is all propaganda.
Right.
Somebody telling you how that's supposed to be. We have, some the Jeffersons, Good Times, all these, black sitcom back in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. So Good Times, for example, Family in the Ghetto, with JJ and so on and so forth. So the
I know
screenwriter
mine.
was a Jewish white guy, but he's writing a black story, you know, that gets, shared across the country, into the lives of how black folks live. How would he really know? And the thing is, so these are the things that we get. So this it's a picture of impoverished, and trying to make ends meet and so on and so forth. which is not no different from anybody else for the most part. Um, but we had the whole television, all that, that stuff that we hated. And then we have the social media now. Now they've put in that into everybody's hand. And so now, since it's so fluid, we almost accept everything that we see on there as being factual. I think now we're enough people are questioning it, but all these influencers, who's coming out the blue with 4 million, 5 million, 2 million followers and stuff like that, reviewing hip hop, records and stuff like that. All of them have these crazy numbers. That becomes the new nonsense because these and for a very little bit of money, they will sell their race out. And the things that doesn't really seem like a big deal to them, they'll start to make those suggestions. Well, yeah, let's do this, and the thing about it is, they just need to have your attention. That's how they use all our stars. All our stars, who have the talent, they use them to tell us the message.
Right.
That's our our young folks who are gifted. That gift could be used for anything. So if those gifted ones are intercepted and are convinced to push a certain idea, whether it's capitalism, whether it's all those type of things, we create a society that's what it becomes about. We somebody who said this, and I think it seemed kind of interesting. Uh, if you want to get to know the values of a country, you know, you look at their advertisement, you know, and it'll tell you, what's at that heart of that nation. Uh, you
Okay.
know, it's I'm not sure if there's I'm not sure if there's a turning back. I'm not sure there should be a turn back. I'm not sure it could even be turned back. Um, so it's a weird space,
Like, let
you
me
know.
let me jump in real quick. I used to watch a lot of television, and I was into. Uh, I can't really put my finger on the shows, but I remember I had shifted from like the Martin
Mhm.
and I started watching like CBS because and CBS was showing car commercials, and CBS was showing car commercials and technology commercials. But if you went to the WB, they were showing you Coca-Cola commercials and Sprite commercials, and you know, not injury attorneys at night, but it was like just the advertising was really just it didn't represent me in any way, and I'm like, why am I watching
Mm,
this crap that doesn't even look at the commercials? This is who they are thinking is watching this. So I started to switch over to other channels just to try to see what their advertising was. So I understand what you're saying. If you got a country who's advertising, nonstop mental health, there's probably a group of people that are losing their minds, or you got a whole plethora of people that are suffering some sort of like needing that lithium or something.
mm.
What are you looking
You
up?
know,
Looking up something.
no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, no, no. Just this thing that kind of like popped up. I was just seeing what that email was about. Um, you know, you know, one of the things I was getting ready to say is that the U.S. have kind of like been used as a beacon, It's been used as a beacon, held up in front of the world so everybody could see, and they put all the shining light on it. It's become supposed to be the envy of the world, and as a result, it's supposed to broadcast to the rest of the world how they're supposed to be. So that's why we have a lot of folks in the Eastern world who are who have contempt towards the U.S. because of what the U.S. is trying to bring into their home. So the same thing that we talk about, the modern women and the Western women and some of the issues and that type of stuff. So some of the folks on the Eastern side are starting to see reverberation of that, and they're pushing back against it because, they realize it's a Trojan horse that's being sent into their house, to create some type of disruption. So
Trojan horse,
it's
so to speak. America is the Trojan horse.
right. Well, it's propaganda. It's and it's source of entertainment, and um, how it used our stars to kind of like be hot and the thing to do, and the other folks in the other countries start to see that and they start to emulate that. But that's the same thing that's weakening our country is the same that's going to weaken their country. So it's not. And what's the battle? Who's supposedly battling? I mean, and the battle is not between me and you. You know, it's not between um, us and the women that's in our lives. It's not between us and our white neighbor or nothing like that. It's really about the influence on the world, and it has to do with who can control leverage in the world. And one of the things that's been used for that is capital. It's money. We've been, you know, ushered to accumulate as much of it as possible. Is the same means in which they use to um, 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 uh, direct people's behavior. If I have a certain amount of money, I could compel somebody to do something, behave a certain type of way, do certain thing, you know, um, dedicate their whole life towards something. So this is where the salary comes into play,
Right.
you know. And here go the thing: we're talking about a salary. The average person, you know, make less. Well, only about 5% of people make 100,000 or more.
Right.
This 5% make over 100,000 or more. So now at $100,000 over a 40-year career, you've only amassed maybe $2.5 million net. Your whole life, you lived it off of $2.5 million. But yet you watch these deals and so on and so forth. So the thing is, your life is very cheap, and they've gotten us into a situation where we put most of our efforts, you know, um, into accumulating this 2.5. And here goes the thing: this 2.5 million versus 8.5 million versus 12.5 million. We all struggling still. It all still becomes a paycheck to paycheck, and you know, it's we get so bound up in trying to get to the next stage. If I'm at 4.5 million, I want to get to 7.5 million and see what that is for a lifetime. So it is for a lifetime now. And the truth is, during that time period, nothing had really changed other than the fact that I'm stuck in the same rut of trying to, you know, live life to get a little bit more, to do pretty much more of the same.
Right.
You know, you know, get better shades, get a better Scully, nicer looking sneakers, have a better view. But then it's you know,
Like the Alexander McQueens fit
mm,
just as good as the Stan Smiths for the most part.
right.
You know,
And
and you can't
you
tell
know,
people that. People are just so fixated on excelling and doing better and doing better and doing better that but the American way,
right.
and there's no like my family and I, we've been considering leaving the country. I've talked to you about this. I'm looking to leave the country, maybe go to Mexico, go to Merida, Mexico, and because I know I could take 100 grand and live out there, and I could concentrate on my YouTube. I can do so much. Whereas here in the states, if I make 125 grand, I'm broke.
Mm-hmm.
If I make 125,000 in New York, I am broke. And that's I'm taking care of my wife and my children and all that kind of stuff. It's just crazy. It's just crazy how what you're saying. It definitely hits home because you got the
Mm-hmm.
guy making 300 grand. He's broke
Mm-hmm.
because he's not pay, I like me. I have a storage. I'm paying X amount of dollars in storage and X amount of dollars in like phone bill and food. And someone else, they're doing the same exact thing. It's just a little. It's just more expensive because maybe they're going to a nicer place. They're not going to the Chinese restaurant that I go to. They're going to go to a nicer Chinese restaurant that every plate is $40 or $30, where mine might be 15. But 15 times four people, where someone else is going to be 35 times four people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so we all in the same boat. Just
We
some of
are.
us are wearing, some of us bought the bootleg Gucci for $50. Some bought another, it's not bootleg, but it's not bought in the store and they pay 200. And then they got the guy who only goes to the store and pays 590 for that t-shirt. So you got the 590, the 200, and the $50. Which one?
So at the heart of it, Steve Ladner just said, uh, a wooden nickel can be worth more than gold if you have a standing army that can back it up. So we've been playing around with this wooden nickel for a long time, and I
Right.
think people have, and I think folks across the across the globe have gotten a hint of that, and they don't like this idea of the wooden nickel. So we have a whole lot of moving pieces right now to protect that wooden nickel. You know, so we have a whole lot of things like that to protect that wooden nickel. So
You see the year on that?
no, I can't see the year. What is that? One of those quarters that worth $50,000? What's going on?
No, I think this is worth like 50 bucks, maybe $100. It's a 19. There we go, 1944.
Was that a nickel?
Yeah, no, this is a quarter.
Okay.
It's
With
completely.
silver?
It's yeah, sterling silver, high end sterling silver right here. I have so many of these quarters that I've been collecting. I've been like, because of TikTok, you find out that all this money, everything you got is worth so much more. No one knows. So it's like the Cat Williams said, 2024 is going to be like this great awakening. I've been awakened to this reality that we're in, and little things like this, you know, it's like that wood and nickel to some degree. Where this was like, now it's just like metal. Now it's like there's no. This is cool. I don't know. The wood and nickel made me think about that and how I got
Yeah.
this in my pocket here. This was given to my wife. Someone gave it to her, I think, yesterday. And she was like, look, look, and I got the kids and the wife. We all searching for for quarters, that were printed before 1964 are all worth like between $25 and $50, and
Mm,
especially if they have like something wrong, like a little bit of a double print. Sometimes those are worth a lot. Certain dollars,
mm.
I have a bunch of quarters that I've just been collecting. Not even quarters, just change. Period. All from certain periods and stuff like that. There's some really, 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 really good ones. Um,
I used to collect the old. Remember the old $100 with the small face?
right, right. I think we both used to collect. Did I have a bunch
Yeah.
of? You had a bunch at one time.
Yeah.
I remember you showed me a whole stack of them things you had. Yeah,
Yeah. So
you
now,
should. Do you still have them?
no, I spent it.
Yeah, yeah. I have like I have a
I
oh,
haven't seen him again. I haven't seen him since.
yeah, in my safe I have an old wallet,
Hmm.
and in that wallet I have at least like $200 or $300 bills from, like, I mean, so old. Now that I know what I know now, I need to go to storage and open up that safe and see what the heck is going on, because there's so much out there. Like, there's so much information out there now, and these things are definitely,
Hmm.
they're worth something. But you got that army to back it up. It's like I showed you actual silver. That was my
Hmm.
purpose in that. I showed you actual silver. Now it's like we just keep printing out money, printing out coins, printing out dollars, and it's worthless. But the fact is, we do have a standing army to back it up.
Hmm.
We got that standing army to back it up, and they're taxing the dollar every time it's moved.
Hmm.
Every time the money moves, even if it was just tax, it gets. How did you get that money? Well, my father gave it to me, who paid a bunch of taxes on it. Well, you got to pay taxes now. And then all the stores I'm spending got to pay taxes. It's
It's
crazy. Then
crazy.
I got to pay, yeah, it's crazy.
No, but at the end of the day, we talk about this
But
capitalism.
look, we accept it. This is what I'm trying to say. People keep talking about a
Yeah.
civil war. How are we going to have a civil war if we accepted all these taxes?
No, that's never going to happen because we've been convinced to live off the minimum is okay. That's the bottom line. The back in the day, there was some type of honor to really make sure that your family could live okay and be free and go about their business. Now, um, the modern man have been made so fearful that he doesn't even want to be uncomfortable. So
Mm,
so long as that and even now, I was about to say so long as he could pay his bills, he's okay. But now he's to the point where he can't even pay his bills, and he's just trying to scrounge around. You know, um, there was a point in time in history where the populace they would uproar if there wasn't enough jobs, in the country with the government. They would hold the government responsible, and they were going to go down there and raise hell because there's not enough jobs.
mm.
And that was kind of like the deal that they were doing. But I also lend way to saying that at that time they understood there's a money lever. There's somebody that has money, and you need to loosen it up. You need to do whatever and put some of that money in the streets, or whatever you got going on is not going to work out. And
Right.
we've gone to the point now that stuff is kind of like all gone, and they've ushered folks into the direction of getting handouts from the state, where it's like, hey, listen, okay, we'll give you this little amount that you can hardly live off of, but we're going to give you this. And now we have grown, you know, adult males, waiting every month for that $613 so they could, conduct their lives.
Yo, you're speaking so many facts. And
You
then
know.
these people not even allowed to have a bank account with more than like a few hundred or something in it. It's crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have a good friend of mine. He gets like six and change. He got an apartment out the deal, but like, dude, you like stuck. You like really,
And that's
really
it.
stuck. And he's not fighting no revolution. But let me tell you this: if there was a revolution to be fought, I could kind of see him on the. I could kind of see him there. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
because
Well, the thing
he's
is,
in pain. He's in pain. He's suffering. He smiles and got a nice car from a lawsuit that he got, but he's in pain still because you, you're forced to stay in that situation. It's crazy.
no, and that's the thing, and that's the it is It is the stable suffering where you're not comfortable, you're not happy, but you don't have, you're not mad enough to go do something. So it's just enough
Oh, you
to
mad?
keep you
You're just not
defeated.
crazy enough. You
Right.
mad,
Just
but you're not crazy
it's just
enough.
one person will look at you and be like, oh, well, your situation is bad. You're just mad because your situation is the way it is. I'm doing a little bit better, so I'm not like you. So I'm not moved enough to go do what you want to do. So they keep everybody on such a spread across sheet of who's doing better than who. Then it's almost like you're comparing yourself to other folks and whether or not you should act or not.
Right.
So Um, if I'm a ball player and I'm making this money, like I'm not gonna go out there and do nothing with you guys. I'm good. But meanwhile, it's the
Right.
same BS. It's to keep, you know, it's and that's what the money is. The money is there to actually rob you of actually living your life. You know.
Absolutely. And I've
So
fallen into that trap many times.
mm,
There's times where I don't even know how to smile unless I have money.
mhm,
I don't know how to feel good about my day unless I have money. I don't.
mhm,
I'm totally hook, line, and sinker into that reality of, fighting for that wooden nickel.
mhm,
I'm fighting for this wooden nickel. That's not. It's only worth something because de- people say it's worth something,
mhm,
and I've been pushed into a corner. And I gotta survive. I gotta feed these kids. I gotta feed my wife. Even though my wife is college educated, she can get a job. But
mhm,
my thing is, I'm still that provider that feels that pressure at all times. At all
mhm,
times. That said, if I make 125 grand, I fail.
mhm,
I'm poor in New York City. That's why I'm like, I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to just, like I was just telling my wife and my kids, let's just do it for 2 years. Let's go to Merida. Let's pay, $950 a month rent for a 3 bedroom right by the beach, and I'll concentrate on the YouTube without a lot of stress, and we'll put ourselves on a budget, of like 2 grand a month or something like that. And just
mhm.
whereas here in New York, if I put myself on a budget of 2 grand a month in New York, that's not you can't get anywhere to live for 4 people.
Yeah.
You can't, and then it's like anyway. So I digress from that, but that's I've fallen into that trap, and I've never
Mhm,
gotten out of the trap. I've
mhm,
never gotten out of that idea, and I've failed over and over and over again in business. So many different failures I've made. It's not until now that I understand money and how it works and how it moves and the way the stock market works. It took me till I'm 50 now, so it took me till I was 47 years old or
mhm,
45 years old before I was like, wait a minute, there is an actual method to this. And there's
mhm,
several methods. If you're the person who gets if you get the direct payment to your bank and all your bills are direct deposited out of your bank and you pay everything with a credit card and you go to work and you're a team player and you keep busting your ass for the corporation. Oh, my phone just this other phone died. I must have had the wrong plug-in. Sorry, let me just
mhm,
hopefully this will work. Yeah. So it's like I've fallen into that trap, but there's so many different traps. People think that they're gonna get the Amex card is gonna give them the points that they need so that they can get these perks. And then there's another person who and that's usually that direct deposit person. Another person, they got their little system, or are just fighting for some sort of monetary gain at all times. all want to have a new car. We all want to buy those shades and those shoes and those sneakers. All that crap that means nothing. And like I said, we'll buy the fake one. We'll rock the fake Gucci shirts for $50 or $200, and it's like all three levels is suffering.
Hmm.
See what Steve Ladner, he's heavy today. Where I live in Mexico, coins that look like that. Do you see Mexico coins in New York? No, we don't. I've never seen a Mexican coin. I've only seen Canadian coins, and sometimes I bump into the once in a blue moon Queen of England coin. Elvis likes money and knows how to make it. This is a fact. Elvis, you and your family would prosper in Mexico because you have the right attitude. Thank you. Yeah, I was saying I want to move to Mexico, and if I do, I'm going to start a little America over there in Merida because it's 10,000. There's 10,000 Americans that they call them expats that moved to Merida. So I'm like, yo, I need to open up a diner over there and give these people, pancakes and eggs after tacos, and just start straight up start a little America over there. You
Hmm.
know, that's one of the ideas. To go to Mexico, start a little America, and I'll be the 75, 80-year-old man over there, you know, chilling. I'm 50 now. I'll probably make it to, like, if I go to Mexico, I'll probably make it to 90. Here in America, I'll be lucky if I can make it past 76. So, anyway, well, I digress from that. Do you ever think about just leaving the country and doing other things like that?
No, I think about that kind of often. You know, so where do you go?
Right,
But when I think about that a lot, I think about how you protect yourself. One of the first things I think about is the gun laws. You know, and with that, U.S. is probably the easiest place for you to legally carry it. But then at this point, it really doesn't matter. You need to be able to protect yourself. But you know, when we talk about the Northeast, um, those are probably some of the more difficult states in the union. Both, gun laws and cost of living, housing, all these things um, goes. They're probably at the rank at the bottom of the barrel in states in the union, the Northeast. Um, so the main things is the cost of living is just completely out of control, and there's no way that we're talking about single apartments, 1 bedroom apartments, 4,500, $5,000, you know. And these are not, you know, this is not like a condo that you're gonna own. This is like a rent that you stay there for the month and after that it's done, it's gone, you
right,
know. Uh, and in a lot of ways, this capitalist system is set up in such a way that it wants you to be able to live from paycheck to paycheck. It does not want you to be able to accumulate no big nest egg for you to be able to make any type of real move. It
right,
really does not want you to do that. And it systematically comes up with different ways to try to confiscate your money, either through taxes, either through selling you new shiny things, either through coming up with new gadgets. It's either coming up with the same card as they've been making every year and adding something different to it and then charging you more money to get more money out of you. But at the end of the day, it leaves you still, pretty much at the same space that you were in, from the very beginning. They've done studies where they look at folks who bought a house, great deal and everything like that. But as time continued, for them to pay that house off, so now they paid the house off, but within that same 20-year period, 30-year period, the taxes have gone up so much that now the taxes look like what the mortgage used to be. And
mm,
it's like they're still paying the same thing. So it
mm,
becomes a big joke. And now if they sell it, they get all this extra money that they got on the place that they from what they originally bought. But for them to move and buy something else, they gotta use all that money to get the new place. So it's like it's not set up for you to really win. And the idea of breaking up the families that we had, the communities that we had, you know, that's the big linchpin in it. Because if they convince each of us to live separately, you know, if you convince all the brothers that we all need to go have our separate space and our separate so on and so forth, I need to have my separate car and phone and space and all this other stuff, then that's just splitting everything. I think I was saying this not the other day that, um, in Haiti and a lot of other third world countries, the whole family is on that one compound. So you're able to pool your money and your resources together and then be able to actually thrive. You know, some of the communities that live in America now, some communities that actually practice that. You know, a lot of times they talk about the Mexicans how they all just stay in one apartment and they just kind of like do that and they rock that out for a couple of years. And you really don't need that much time. You just need a couple of good, strong years. You know, um, but it's rough.
Right.
So you talk about a lot of folks from medical school. They have these loans for $300,000, $400,000. But if they're in the right setting, what they'll do, they'll rock out for 2, 3, 4 years, and they'll pay it off in 2, 3, 4 years. You know,
They're not paying
they're
that
making,
monthly. They're not
they're
paying the
not paying that
monthly.
monthly. Yeah,
They
so
they
they got,
they trip. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so they're in there. They're making 20,000. They're bringing in say 20 for the month or whatever like that. They bring in 15 for the month. They bring in 12 for the month. You know, and they're living on something light, like $2,000, and they paying $10,000 a month to the loan, just paying it. And in two
Mm.
years, 3 years, they're done. You know, but you have to have the community to create that so you could do that type of stuff. But the thing is, once you're free, then you have all this extra you could start doing. But you have to allow the money to accumulate to make some moves with it. You know, um, so that's the route that most folks try to go. Try to take care of their bills and try to accumulate a little bit of something so they can have a little bit of fun or whatever like that. But I think the most at ease person, successful person, is the person that have never been tied to it that way. So my sense of ease is not that I have a Bentley. And if I have me a buggy, I feel cool, you know. And the idea is the most uh, the most powerful person, the most at ease person, is the person that doesn't need anything.
Right,
You know,
right, right. But I
the
remember,
person.
what you're saying is truth. Like you're not just talking because one time you came over to my house when I lived over there on in Washington Heights, and you were driving some sort of red rental,
Mhm.
and you were like, maybe it was like a Nissan, and I was like, hey, where your car? He said, oh, it's in the shop. So I just rented this to get around, and then I saw you a week later, and you still had that rental, and I was like, oh, you still in this? He's like, yeah, now that I think about it, it's just all you need is a car. You don't need all that fancy stuff. I was like, hell no, you better return this thing. You better return this thing. Not. I was like, look at this. This is plastic. This is plastic. You have wood. This is plastic. Return this car immediately. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
Do
remember
you-
that. It was what I had. I think it was yeah, it was something. It was I think it was like a Camaro or something. And that was kind of like interesting.
oh,
They even gave me that. I wanted to get a compact car, and they didn't have one, so they ended up giving me this red Camaro. If it was red, that's what
right.
it was. And but you know now, so I got this little
Everything,
small car.
everything was plastic. I had fake chrome and all crazy stuff. I was like, dude, this is fake chrome. Please return this car, man. You know,
You
I
know.
was used to you in something with a lot more wood grain. I was like, No, we all fall. We all fall in it. We all in the same. We all in this big money hole.
No, and the thing about it is like even now as we speak, it's like you think about the next move, and then that allure we've been raised in that, so we see that. So there's always that allure there, but we have come to know enough that none of that stuff really means anything. But yet the allure is still there. And you still kind of
Right.
want, and the question is like why? Because one piece of it that says how do I separate myself from others? But in which way do I want to separate myself from the others? Is it to say I'm better than, you know? So we have to look at the heart of it, you know, what we've been programmed with,
Right.
because if we all said we just wanted to get a Honda Civic, life would be so much easier,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It'd be.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'd be more reliable.
right. And
That's why.
now,
That's why I'm happy to have this Acura. This car is the easiest car I've ever had to fix.
no,
Any
you know what?
problems? Like so perfect.
hmm
The Honda I
You know,
got over here.
no, you know what? I think that probably was the best car I had. I think that probably was the best car I've had was that
Oh, your
TL.
Acura. Right.
Yeah, it
Too
was like
bad you put it
never.
in. Too bad you wrapped it around a pole.
Yeah, right.
I remember that. I remember. I'm sure Daniel B remembers it too.
Right. hmm
I just talked to him yesterday. He called me. He saw my accountant in Harlem, and I'm like, yeah, tell him this accountant that just finished doing my taxes. I got like 3 letters. I had to. This was missing. That was missing. This was missing. I'm like, what the hell, man? So you get what you pay for.
hmm
Anyway, I digress from that too. But no, we had a good conversation today. Today was really good. Because we
Sure, for
do this all
sure.
the time. You and I have these talks all the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, help me with the content. Help me push this machine a little bit, the algorithm. I looked up at the screen, the algorithm wasn't on our side tonight, but there's probably 6,000 people live right now. And
Right.
our conversation is just better than theirs.
hmm
But what we're having is a conversation. This is the stuff that people are talking about. We tapped in on everything from Dame Dash to fears of migrants and what's happening in the temperature and how we're living. I love Steve Ladner with the nickel, the wooden nickel and the army behind it. And we talked about January 6th. A lot was said in the conversation. These conversations are really important. This podcasting is truly streaming is the future. So this is where there's gonna be there's gonna be a ton of people that just can't do this. They just cannot do this. And there's a ton of people that think they can do this. But there's only a few that can really, really tap into pulse of the people. And at 50 years old, I know you're younger than me. Respect your elders, and I always say that. I'm stuck on simple, but it's like we have a lot to offer the world. We've seen a lot, we've done a lot. We've we know what it's like to be flat broke, and we know what it's like to have a steady income of money. Stress, we have a family, we have kids. We know it's great to have a conversation with a group like you and I, Daniel B and Ulrich. The four of us, we have something to offer, and I'm very very thankful that you came on board so we can just have a couple of words about. We didn't really have a topic today.
No,
There
no.
was no topic. The topic today was just like conversation. Let's have it.
Mhm.
So. I'm glad we did. I'm really, 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 truly glad we did.
Is that
Um,
fair?
our last video that you and I did together last week, it did pretty well. Let me see. Last week's show. I'm using that other phone, like being real silly right now. Okay, I got it. I used the same picture I used last week because I couldn't find any. I was trying to use the picture of us when we were in Albany for the Cat Williams thing, but it was too many
Oh,
people. I was like, I don't think I want to. I just wanted you and I. So you and I did a show. Doctor the Surgeon chimed in on Trump and many more. That was. Wait a minute. That was a month ago. We did that show. Has it been a month? Why I
really?
feel like it was. I feel like it was just last week. Okay, that was all right. Okay, so a month ago, you and I did a show. We got 297 views, and then we did another show 7 days ago that got 1,100 views.
Okay.
Okay, and then today's show, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that was a
Okay.
nice little jump from the 1 month to the 7 days
Right.
ago. All right, and unfortunately, the show that I did with Ulrich on Sunday, YouTube took it down because I used a clip from Saturday Night Live with
Oh,
Richard.
really?
Yeah, Richard Pryor was on it. It was something I wanted to discuss, and they just basically took it down. But I was told by YouTube that if I reload it with that segment out, then they'll put it out. So I have to do that. I got the
Oh,
computers. I got everything. I got everything I need to get that done. And any, you got the last word. Anything else you want to say?
okay.
Right,
And we have to, we gotta be forever vigilant. One of the things that, like we say all the time, you can be forgiven for everything. You'll be forgiven for everything in the world. You could kill somebody, you'll be forgiven. But one thing that you won't be forgiven for is for telling the truth, especially to somebody who's not ready to hear it. So with that, you know, um, let's ever be mindful on what we see, um, unless you put it together or somebody you trust put it together. You know, you should deal with it with a healthy bit of skepticism.
right.
Yeah.
You appreciate it, my
All right.
friend. To everybody out
Have a good one.
there, if you want to donate, look at the description. There will be ways for you to donate. All right. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Oh, I'm Big
Have a good
Elvis and
one.
Chef Rosenberg.
Doc the Surgeon, the people's doctor.
Bye. Peace.